Oh, how does it make you feel? Okay, I love Victoria Monet. Like, that's my girl. I would've, like, this year, she's been like my #1 artist, and I'm very upset because she came to Houston the same weekend Beyonce was in town, and I did not get to go see Victoria Monet. I'm upset. But you know what? I will live. She will come back around, and I will see her. Because that's my girl. Anyway, Victoria Monet is not the reason why we are talking in this video today. So, if you've been following along on my book journey, you know that I have been reading, okay? I am a book girly now, 10 toes down. Freaking love it. Freaking love it. It also ignored my hair. I'm like a week past what my soul press needs to be. But we're here because I need to talk to you guys. Okay, so number 1, I joined a book club. Yay! And it's not like me and my friends back home, we have a book club together, but this book club is here where I live. And so we met up for the first time last Sunday, and it was so exciting to actually talk amongst other women who share similar values and stuff like that, but also like enjoy reading the same things you read. And it was just really refreshing because you don't think it will be important until you have it and you're like, dang, I've really been missing out. And when I tell you I have been missing out, it was a blast. We were at a restaurant, and like even the restaurant people were like trying to join in on our conversation. Like it was good, and it really made me happy that I actually went. Like a lot of times I'll say I'm going somewhere and I don't go, but this time I went and I was very proud of myself. So yay for me, I did it. So for my book club for the month of January, we started off strong and we read The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And I told you that I did read it a while back, so it was just more of like a catch-up read. So I read it earlier this month. And so after I finished it, one of my friends, actually the girl who invited me to the book club, she was like, hey, I know you finished Fourth Wing. I'm thinking about starting ACOTAR. And for those who do not know, ACOTAR is A Court of Thorns and Roses, okay? And when she told me like, hey, I'm about to start it, you want to start it with me? And I was like, you know what? Might as well. We started like about 2 Thursdays ago. I finished today. I finished all 5 books in that series today. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would have been a fantasy girly, but OMG, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. If you have not entered your fantasy era, this is your invitation, ladies and gentlemen, because romance is cute. It's sweet. It's like, ooh, yay. But like fantasy, but in a series, hey, Otis, stop playing with your crunchy toy. That's my dog, ignore him. But fantasy in a series like takes romance to like a whole nother level. And it's fantasy romance, so it's like double down, so it's even better. So The Fourth Wing was like a really bit of a taste of what ACOTAR was going to give, right? So it was a good book, I would say. Rebecca Yarros is actually she writes, I think she was more of like mystery writer, more of like a thriller writer for a while. And then she just kind of, this was her first like fantasy deep dive that she made, which was really, really popular on TikTok. So I was like, you know what, let's read it. I definitely had to kick my dog out of the room with his toy, and he just came back in here. Hey bud, I'm doing something. Can I please do something? All right, say hi. This is Otis, everybody. Otis Redding, and he's mama's boy. Hey, go play. Go play. Go play. Go. Or you can sit in your crate, either way. It's fine with me. Just sit down and get out the way. So, Rebecca Yarros' Fourth Wing. And when I started the book, I didn't know what to expect because I have not read like fantasy-esque books since like middle school, and that was like Harry Potter times. This was like Twilight times. So I was just like, what is this going to give? Is it going to be too overwhelming with the world building? Am I going to like not know what's going on because I don't know a lot of the terminology? No, please erase all of your thoughts of like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like you concerns about being overwhelmed, go ahead and erase it, because girlies, please read fantasy books. It was a good start with Fourth Wing. I do plan on reading Iron Flame this month for February. So I do have it. I just not have started it yet because I was reading ACOTAR. ACOTAR, like, will forever be my favorite series ever. That's saying a lot. Like, oh my gosh, those books give me so much life. It really did. And like, when you think you know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen. But that's not what we're here to talk about, okay? We're here to talk about Fourth Wing. This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to make a separate video about ACOTAR, because when I tell you, we got things to talk about. But Fourth Wing is first, okay? So this is how we're starting our fantasy journey. It's starting with that. So this is my complete review of the book, what I thought about it, and like where I think the series is going to take after this book finished, right? So let's dive in. So I did not know what to expect going into this book. I knew like some of the stuff from like TikToks, like memes and stuff like that. So the main character, Violet, she has to go and basically sign up to be a dragon rider. She all her life wanted to be a scriber, which basically means like they're the ones who write history, write the books, and so they're all kind of like hooded and like secretive and stuff like that, and so they know all the history of their world that they live in. But her mom is a general, and her mom was like, sister, you're gonna have to go be a dragon rider like the rest of us. And so she went, and it was a big deal because Violet was very small, very sickly looking, and she just did not have some type of muscle whatsoever. So the way they wrote the book, I always thought of Violet being like this hunched over, like weird looking, sickly looking girl. But it wasn't until later on in the book, when we actually got to know who her love interest was, that he was like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. And I was just like, how? So I didn't know what it was. And so when we talked about it on Sunday with the book club, they also had the same feelings. Like they were gonna assume that she was just on the more petite side. But I'm like, the way those vibes were giving me in the book though, it was like bone, skin and bone. Like she was not just petite, she was past petite. Which again, that's just in my head, right? So she goes through a series of challenges to become a dragon rider, and she gets to eventually get her dragons, which is really cool, and defied all the odds that were against her, even the people who did not believe in her, to be successful at the end of this book. And then everything blows up at the end, which is crazy. When you get dragons, apparently you do get some type of power as well. Mind reading is a no-no, so you can't read people's minds. And if they find out you're reading people's minds, you will be killed immediately. That's what happened to a dude in the class, and like he got his neck snapped. It was very dramatic. But one of the characters, his power, what was his power? I can't. Oh, he could read minds, but no one knew he can read minds. He just touched you and he could see what was in your head, which was even creepier, but no one knew. So he got away with it. And at the end, we find out a lot more about him and why we don't like him. Okay. But the one that I did enjoy was Xaden. Xaden was I wouldn't say protagonist, but he's come off to be that, because the first time he sees Violet, he tells her, I'm gonna kill you. And you're like, whoa, I just got here, dude. Why are you threatening to kill me already? Apparently their family has past beef, and her family is the reason why his family is no longer here. So it was like a whole situation. So I was like, gotta watch out for you, because you're threatening people from the jump. Lo and behold, come to find out that it's her person. That is the person that she's connected with, and she's like, hey babes, I like you. Crazy. Was not expecting that. You know, they do a little in the bedroom a couple times. They actually did in like a little like greenhouse, which was interesting. But yeah, they did a couple times. One time she made lightning strike because apparently that's one of her powers, but they weren't 100% clear on what Violet's powers were, but has something to do with lightning. Okay, they did put emphasis on her hair, which her hair has like white silver tips. In her dragon, one of her dragons, oh, plot twist, hope y'all don't want spoilers because this is all spoilers. Her dragon called her Silver One because of her hair being silver at the end, which I feel like, and of course Rebecca Yarros also told us in an interview that she was like, yeah, her hair is gonna be something big later on, but we just don't know what it is. So just keep in mind that she has silver hair and they call her Silver One, and she struck lightning. So I'm assuming that all has something to do with each other. Her dragons were really cool. So there's like a big thing about what type of dragon you receive. So you can receive like a blue tail or like a green tail, yellow tail. And there's some dragons that you're not even supposed to get at all. So they go and they basically walk through the dragon territory. And I'm using, this is strictly just to the point where it's like I'm not going back into the book to like look everything up, but this is how I received the story. And they have to like basically they don't find the dragons find them. The dragons select them. And they pretty much throw them in the wilderness and it's like, hey, if you come back with a dragon, that's your dragon. But if you don't, so sorry. But to everybody's surprise, Miss Violet, this little petite skinny girl, got 2 dragons. And she got one dragon that she ended up saving from these guys who were trying to kill her. I'm not going to pronounce these names because I know I'm going to butcher them. Okay, we're just gonna call her Golden Dragon. So her Golden Dragon was a baby. You didn't know that she was a baby, but she's a baby. She's so small, like Violet with her little tail couldn't even sit on her because she's little. So Violet goes and saves this little dragon, and the dragon's like, hey, you're mine now. And then who comes and saved the little dragon and Violet? Big Dragon. I call him T. T came in and was like, I'm the biggest dragon there is, and I'm here to save the day. And that's what he did. And he was like, Violet, you're brave, and because of your bravery, you and me are paired. Straight up. But you want to know even more plot twists on top of that? Tell me why Big Dragon has a thing with another dragon who just so happens to be Xaden's dragon. They got a thing. They're mates. They're together. They're linked, baby. Linked. Their dragons are linked, and guess what? They are now linked. Crazy. Who would have thought? That was a big plot twist in there, and I was just like, oh. So because of their linkage or whatever, because they are bonded of some sort, if she gets hurt, he gets hurt. So it's like vice versa as well too. So Xaden then now becomes very protective over Violet, and it's very interesting on how their dynamic switches and changes. She, again, like I said in the beginning, like it was weird because he was like, oh my gosh, you're so hot, and I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. But I'll let him have it. Okay, that's his boo thing. That's his little boo thing. So I was like, okay, go do as you please, sir. Do as you please. I didn't think I would be into this type of book with dragons, but it was pretty good. I will say that. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. Mainly because the world building was great. It was easy to understand, to grasp. The storytelling was great. Like, it kept catching me with like different twists and turns, things I wasn't expecting. I couldn't have not guessed any of this stuff. Like, I feel like you get to fall in love with these characters just for them to like be ripped from underneath you sometimes. And you're like, should I get attached to this person? You're like, no, okay, I'm not gonna get attached to this person. Because it kind of is. It gives me like, I was reading it and it was kind of giving me Hunger Games with a mix of like Survivor. So you don't want to like have an attachment to a character for too long because they may or may not be here later on in the chapter. So it was very interesting in that sense. And it's really cool to kind of see how layered it is, how a lot of the names have meanings, Celtic meanings that kind of add into the story, which is really cool. The largest dragon that Violet has, his name, the full name, I'm not going to say it again because I don't want to butcher it. His full name in Celtic means thunder. which Violet's power supposedly had something to do with lightning. So you know what happens after thunder comes lightning. Ah, isn't that cool? So it was really smart things like that. Now, my beef with this book though is the author, okay? She decided to write it from a perspective of somebody looking into the Celtic culture and like saying, hey, I'm gonna use this information and use it for the book, which is great. But her interviews and stuff, she can't pronounce nothing. Like, I don't even trust her pronunciations because like people are like, that's not how you say that. So she's making this stuff up. So I'm like, it adds so much more depth to it when you actually know the meaning of the languages that you're using, but it like also takes away from it if you don't respect it to a certain extent. Now, I do appreciate that she does write a lot of POCs in this book, because one thing about fantasy, and one of the reasons why I was hesitant to getting into fantasy, was the lack of people of color completely from the jump. And I'm a type of person who's going to support Black authors at the end of the day, because the one thing they're going to be able to do is be able to share their experiences, and I will be able to relate to them completely just off the jump. And fantasy doesn't really do that, because a lot of times we default to making these characters white. And a lot of times it just happens to be that way. For years I never found, you know, a fantasy trope type thing that I really connected with outside of like Twilight, but even then it was just more of like, oh my gosh, Team Edward versus Team Jacob, but it really wasn't because it connected to me anyway in like my real life, which is interesting. But with this one, a lot of her characters are Black or darker skinned, which is very, very fun to think about. And apparently they're supposed to be doing some kind of either film adaptation or television, and I would really love to see this come to life on screen so you can see it, because like, again, Black people a lot of times are left out, or even people of Hispanic descent, or any kind of people who got some color in the skin, right? We want to spice some things up. Like one of her characters, Brianna, she was another dragon rider. She had her hair in a protective style, and they mentioned that in the book, and it was like, ha! I like her. Like, if Black people were in this world of dragons, what they need to do to their hair? Because honestly, if she was wearing a wig riding a dragon, I'm pretty sure that lace will lift. We don't want that to happen to y'all girls. So, but you know, some braids, that might be very helpful. You know, probably like some slick back Alicia Keys, like let the beads fall behind her, like something like that. So it was really refreshing to kind of get that point of view and see that outside of the normal like books that I do read about like romance and stuff. So I do appreciate Fourth Wing for taking me on this journey and making me dive deep into the fantasy realm, because when I tell you, baby girl, ACOTAR, period. She's that girl, period. Do you hear me? Oh my gosh. So with that being said, I'm gonna finish before I start talking about ACOTAR, and then I won't be able to stop. Okay, Fourth Wing was great. Reading Iron Flame for the next month. I'll be sure to catch you up on book club doings and tellings and stuff like that, and what we're reading next. So if you do want to follow along with us, definitely will suggest it. And if you want to add some questions or have me ask questions to my friends and see like what their perspectives are with the book, with the either Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, you're welcome to it. I'm very excited to read the next book, especially since I finished ACOTAR. I can like focus on Iron Flame completely. I have nothing else to think about. So, but after I finish Iron Flame, for the rest of my TBR, I'm going to actually, which is a lot of people confusing them, but one of my friends who's like really big into books, she's like read the books when they came out initially. She was like, you can skip over Assassin's Blade and go straight into Crescent City. So I'm going to Iron Flame, and then I'm gonna do the 3 Crescent City books, because the 3rd one just came out like a few days ago. And so I'm gonna finish those, and then I'm gonna follow it up and like hopefully start with the Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas, and we're gonna go into it, because apparently her worlds all overlap and connect to each other, and I am very, very excited. Especially after Silver Flame. My heart. So that is currently my TBR. If you want to join me along for the ride, please come on. We are in our fantasy era time, okay? I don't know how long I'm gonna be in my fantasy era. We're gonna see, but Just keep in mind that I do like to have cleansing palettes, cleansing my tongue of some books. So sometimes I may take a break. So I may pick up a regular romance book here and there. So we'll see what happens. But if you do have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Thank you guys for watching again. Hope to see you next time, and we'll go over what books I'm reading in February. Might be some good ones. But see y'all later. Thank y'all for watching.